I am the defender of the creatures of the night. I'm the vengeance of misunderstood dark lords. The power of what you fear most. I am the Bat Goblin.
Happy Halloween, everybody! I hope you're having a wonderfully spoopy weekend. Before we get into the news, though, I want to quickly talk about some quick channel changes we'll probably be seeing in the near future. First and foremost, the amount of manga content is going to crank down a bit, just to 1 a week for sure, after next week, because on Monday you're getting a special bonus video that is going to be Uzumaki for the official Halloween special. And that means there's going to be a general uptick in book content and things along those lines, as well as a return of skits, because I feel like I've kind of caught up a good bit with manga, but want to even it out with the rest of like the literature approach. The reason there's been so much manga content is I feel like I was way behind. Obviously I'm still way behind because I had this weird prejudice against the entire medium for no freaking reason. So while it's not going away, it's just gonna even out with the rest. For the near future though, I'm staying away from show reviews and movie reviews because internet discourse around those kind of things tends to be extraordinarily toxic. Why those people haven't come into the book space? Well, I think it's because they don't have the patience to read. Bat Goblin burn! But without any further ado though, let's go ahead and jump into the spoopy news! Welcome everybody to another episode of Spoopy News! I am your Dark Crusader Goblin host, Bat Goblin. And we're gonna go ahead and kick it off today with a free, easy headline that's gonna come with a bunch of views, even though I don't think it means much, but it was the most requested story of the week, so I gotta cover it. During a recent live stream, George R. Martin was recently quoted saying he believes he is about 3/4 of the way done with Winds of Winter. Though he also says there's rewrites that need to go on and all kinds of other things. And as soon as this was said, it started flooding on into my inbox. Daniel, oh my god, Winds of Winter is coming! I have very bad news for a lot of people. I've been covering fantasy news for about 5 years, and I myself have been duped many times in the past by George R. Martin saying like, Winds of Winter, this amount of progress, we're getting there. It's not gonna happen anytime soon. I'm not saying it's never gonna happen, but I'm not getting my hopes up until we get a release date. And I've also made the mistake of covering things like this and being like, guaranteed, that means it, but I've learned, and after a lot of people showed me other examples of stuff like this and being like, Daniel, don't follow into it, I'm now on that side. All of that being said though, I do believe he's probably right when he says it's about 3/4 done, in terms of the amount of pages done for this current draft.
At the end of the day, what this boils down to is George R. R. Martin is gonna write at the rate he's been writing at. Recently, he has seemed more focused on Winds of Winter than not, but overall, yeah, he's been very distracted by the opportunities presented to him over recent years to get a bunch of his visions adapted into live action, and I don't entirely blame him. Do I think we're gonna be getting Winds of Winter anytime soon? No. Do I think George R. R. Martin's been spending more time on it recently? Absolutely. There does seem to be a lot of evidence indicative of that, but at the end of the day, I'm really just tired of talking about this guy's writing updates, and I don't think I'll be covering it again in fantasy news until we get a release date, no matter how many times stories like this are sent to my inbox.
So that's my take on this, but we are gonna go ahead and transition into another piece of A Song of Ice and Fire related news that I think is very nice. House of the Dragon episode 10 sees 9.3 million viewers, the biggest HBO season finale since Game of Thrones. And I don't think anyone's too surprised to hear that. Episode to episode, from what I've seen and what we've been talking about on fantasy news, House of the Dragon's audience has just grown and grown and grown as more and more of the word of mouth spreads, and a lot of former Game of Thrones fans are hearing this is some of the best A Song of Ice and Fire live action content we've ever gotten.
I realize this could be taken as me saying every episode has had bigger premiere viewership than the one before. That's not necessarily the case, though the overall viewership for House of the Dragon has continued an upward trajectory, just clarifying real quick.
And so I actually believe by the time we're in seasons 3, maybe even 4 of House of the Dragon, it could be hitting the same numbers as Game of Thrones for stuff like this. But maybe that's just my overly optimistic view. Let me know if you disagree in the comments down below. But also keep in mind that this 9.3 is still very well off from Game of Thrones series finale of 19.8 million viewers. So yes, very impressive House of the Dragon. Not in the same ballpark. But we're going to jump on away from A Song of Ice and Fire news and talk about some cover reveals, because we got our first look at Heavenly Tyrant, the sequel to Iron Widow from Jiren Zhao. yes, a nice looking cover. This officially does it. I'm gonna read and review Iron Widow here on the channel. Look forward to that in the future. But we're gonna move on from that cover reveal to talk about some covers for a series that's very near and dear to my heart, Discworld, because you can officially buy the entire paperback collection for the new Death run of Discworld books for, including shipping, about $70 if you're in here in the United States. I just ordered it, that's how I know. And while I love these books, and while I actually think Discworld Emporium, the site that these books, at least in terms of where I found them, are on, does great work, for me, these are kinda not doing it in terms of just face value, how these images look on their website. Once I get them in hand, I'll give you a more full thoughts in a future video. But there's just something about this aesthetic for Discworld that is not working for me, and that even also applies to their other similar style run for the Witches part of Discworld. I'm hoping to be proven wrong, and I have been before, because I've had some books like this where I've seen them online and go, that doesn't look great, then I get them in hand and I actually think they look fantastic. A recent example would be the kind of more nature covers for the Wheel of Time. I thought those looked god-awful online, but then I started seeing them in person and I was like, I kind of get it. But before we get into another kind of remaking something for the next news, a quick word from today's contentious sponsor.
This was supposed to be about writing software, alright, so I don't know how things got to the, oh, hey, Jackson! Hey, buddy! So you know how you said I was supposed to meet with those clients for the new Campfire ad spot, right? Did you forget to tell me anything kind of crucial about them?
Absolutely not.
Put the skull down! You put the skull! That is a dead... Jackson, look, okay, so I know this is kind of a big deal. Campfire, great writing software, helps you take the ideas out of your mind, put them on the page with maps, character organizers, really, literally, I'm not just saying that because there's a gun in my head! You guys are the best writing software on the internet. Choose your own price. Mwah, love it. But I think it might be a bit bad for your brand if we destroy a major city. Do you see the problem?
Absolutely not.
Look, I get that we're all here and we might as well finish. I'm just kind of concerned with how much I'm being paid versus the number of dead bodies I'm kind of required to be around. Why is that getting close? Do I have to go on the ship, Jackson? Is it a bad idea for me to go on the ship?
Absolutely not.
Why are you handing me the quest for the Golden Plunger? Jackson, are you aware that your book is being published in space? Can you help me get my book published in space?
Absolutely not.
Look, Jackson, I love Campfire. I love the choose your own price. I really think it's one of the best things you can invest in, especially for like running a D&D campaign. I love the themes, how much you've supported the channel, but I draw a line at total earthly extermination. Now, is this gonna be a problem moving forward?
Absolutely not.
Oh, so I can just go do a regular ad spot then. That's okay, that's a really... Hey, we're actually gonna call off the shoot, guys. Can you take me home? Guys?
And yes, we are getting a remake of the first Witcher game using entirely the Unreal Engine 5. For those of you who are unaware, didn't see previous coverage here on the channel, Unreal Engine 5 is essentially the next big step forward for future generations of gaming and how incredible graphics can look. It's not the only engine in the world, but it's probably going to be a very popular one for a long time. Engines are what you use to make... I can't explain it all, damn it. And with the first Witcher game being as successful as it is, not nearly as successful as the third, but still a very well looked at game, yeah, I'm excited to see it remade in Unreal Engine 5. Though I do think it's a little bit sad that even on this tweet where they're announcing it, they have to say, we want to do this right, so please be patient. It's gonna be a while until we can share more details. Which just gives me the vibe of like, please don't threaten our engineers because this isn't coming out as fast as you'd like. Because I know it's very popular to say online, like, oh, don't crunch game devs and make sure there's plenty of time for personal lives and your employees' stuff. But then every time a company does announce a delay, I'll see those same accounts being like, you lazy pieces of shit. Like, guys, leave them alone. Same thing with like when authors take a couple more years to get a book out. It's fine to be like, personally, that sucks, but don't then go yell at them. Hey, don't crunch your developers.
Release date 2025.
Okay, crunch your developers. And then another super duper highly requested story here this week that I also don't have, I think, the response to a lot of people are going to want me to have, but hey, I'll cover it, you all asked for. And that would be that apparently some of the writers involved with the Witcher show actively dislike the books. And I don't care. That's my official response to this. Yes, I think The Witcher show could be better with both of the seasons we've had, though I don't think it's as bad as some people make it out to be. But there is a very long and rich history within Hollywood of people who do not like source material working to adapt it, and that source material still turning out damn good. So it's kind of like a correlation doesn't equal causation, I guess, thing for me, where like a lot of people are trying to point at this and say that's why the show isn't as good as it could be, but I just disagree. But do you remember back when I said like I'm gonna cover less show stuff here on the channel because it just gets so toxic and painful and anxiety-inducing for me? It's an example of what I'm talking about. Dramatic face reveal. That's right, this whole time, the Bat Goblin has actually just been... My name's Frank. I work at the DMV, and I help people pass their driver's tests. Yeah, that's right. I don't have the same origin story as Batman. We get creative here. Boom. Final story of the day, we're going to talk about some mega franchise news when it comes to video games trying to breach on into the live action space. Because we've gotten our first sneak peek image for Amazon's upcoming Fallout live action adaptation. And as often is the case with shows that are this early on, or movies, or even books, and then I immediately started asking the question with a Fallout adaptation, which is a pretty epic story in terms of scope. So I'm kind of thinking like, is this going to fall into the Rings of Power, Wheel of Time Amazon adaptation category? But it's also not like high fantasy. So is it slipping more over into like The Boys or Man of the High Castle? I'm doing a whole lot of ranting here, basically just boiling down to me saying, I hope the Fallout show's marketing makes it very, very clear what fans should expect going into it, because that really affects initial reaction, and initial reaction in today's day and age of streaming, when stuff gets forgotten so fast, unless it somehow manages to stick, can make or break a show. But in terms of this first promo image, it's a promo image. But this has just been your latest episode of Fantasy News. Like and subscribe if you have not already, and hit the Patreon if you want to support what I do here. I must go off and make sure that a misunderstood Dark Lord is able to kill that farm boy who totally has it coming. I got merch, I got books. Have a good one, y'all. Off to defend the darkness.
And of course, I'd like to record a special shout out to my latest high-tier Patreons, Skittles and Strawberry Milk, Christy778, and Dan Falk. God damn it.